I'm on my way to Washington, D.C. So yeah, I say this to you knowing what's about to come my way. Frothing, elbow-waving, anti-American activists are about to say about me. But I just don't care.
I'm back, and I missed you guys. Welcome back. My name's Mark Nixon, and yes, we got some great news. Something is happening that's gonna flip the script on these liberals. Their absolute worst nightmare just happened, and you can't put the genie back in this bottle. This is what happens when you waste an entire year waiting, just waiting. You campaigned elbows up. Elbows up. You said you were the Trump whisperer.
They say that you're the Trump whisperer.
You said you were the only guy that could get a win with Donald Trump.
The best deal of any country with the United States.
You actually approved an attack ad that got billions of views and imploded our relationship with the United States.
This is an ad. That was an ad run by a provincial government in Canada. Why are you mad at the federal government?
Because whether it's provincial or Canada itself, they all knew exactly what the ad was. The Prime Minister knew. Everybody knew. The Prime Minister knew what the ad was before I went.
Will you see him at APEC? Do you want to meet with him?
I don't want to meet with him. No, I'm not going to be meeting with him for a while. No, I'm very happy with the deal we have right now with Canada. We're going to let it ride.
Then you run off to the WEF and say you're going to join up with middle powers to take on the major powers. But 2 days before that, you made a deal with China. So we all know you were talking about the United States.
Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
You honestly cannot make any of this stuff up, Canada. It's almost as if it's intentional.
We like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada. But they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led. And
why? Because the Liberals can't run on their track record. The only thing they could do is drum up fear of Donald Trump. And that plan is about to go boom. Let's get into this report. I don't think the Liberals thought that the Conservatives had the balls to go around them and see Donald Trump. Who remembers Danielle Smith? Did she ask for permission to go down to Mar-a-Lago to see Donald Trump? No, she did not. And she got the absolute best deal for Canada, well, for Alberta, with only a 10% tariff rate. The rest of Canada, we are getting destroyed by tariffs. And the Conservatives are very aware of a possible snap election. Check out Brian Lilly. He is bang on here.
Wants a spring election, and you spoke to the Conservative campaign manager, Steve Outhouse. What was he telling you about being ready if a snap election does occur? And do you think that there will be a snap vote?
Well, my view for the past couple of weeks has been that Mark Carney is setting the table so that if he needs a snap election, he can call one. And I think the Davos speech was part of that. He wanted to provoke Donald Trump, knowing he would get, an over-the-top reaction. He got that. What did that reaction from Trump do, combined with the speech in Davos? It boosted Mark Carney's poll numbers. You don't have to believe the Leger poll that he's at 47 and the Conservatives are at 38. You know, Abacus has a 4-point lead. I think it's 43-39. Conservatives are still competitive, but there appears to be in several polls a bit of a gap. And the pollsters, when you talk to them, say, appears to be the result of the Davos speech and the Trump reaction.
Let's take a look at some of these polling numbers. Mark Carney's plan is working out just perfect until Jamil Jivani flipped it on its head. But first, take a look at these polls.
Pierre Poilievre may have secured the support of Conservative delegates this past weekend, but recent federal polling shows his party has some work to do. when it comes to winning over most Canadians. This is a snapshot of some of the most recent numbers. All of these firms have the Liberals up, with the highest being Main Street, which has the Liberals at plus 15, with decided and leading voters. Leger and Liaison have the Liberals up 9 and up 8. Nanos and Abacus both have the Liberals at plus 4. And the Angus Reid Institute has the Liberals up 3. ECOS also has the Liberals up 14. Now, these rising Liberal fortunes may have played a role in helping recruit some high-profile candidates to run for the party. Yesterday, longtime MP and former Cabinet Minister Bill Blair resigned from his Scarborough Southwest seat to have become the High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. And today, the Liberals announced that the Ontario NDP deputy leader will run in Blair's former seat. Tali Begum was, until today, the Ontario NDP MPP for Scarborough Southwest. And the dominoes keep falling. Just hours after that announcement, Liberal MP Nathaniel Erskine-Smith said he will seek the Ontario Liberal Party's nomination to run in Begum's former riding. And while he says he plans to support the Prime Minister in the meantime, this could mean another by-election on the 2026 calendar.
So the Davos speech and fear of Donald Trump, for Donald Trump to end Canada's relationship and have his rhetoric come back, you could see it's actually affecting the polls. I know what you're going to say. I don't believe any of the polls, but do you not believe one? Like, these are all the polls that have it. The Conservatives completely get wiped out. But it's quite interesting. Now that the polls heavily favor the Liberals see wiggle room, and that's why you're seeing MPs leave. First, it was Chrystia Freeland. Now, Bill Blair is gone. That means there's going to be a by-election there. Chrystia Freeland's going to have a by-election. They're going to bring on this woman to take over Bill Blair. I mean, she's a far left-wing NDPer. That's going to be interesting. And Nate, he's also going to go, because how can he be running for a Liberal, Ontario Liberal position as an MP for the federal government? That makes zero sense. Pressure is on. I've already messaged him saying that he needs to resign. So this is probably another by-election. So that's 3 MPs that are gone. All those floor crossers just got canceled out. There's no more chance for Mark Carney with these floor crossers. He needs an election. Let's go back to Brian Lilly. He has more explanation on why Mark Carney is probably heading for an election.
With these enhanced GST rebate checks that are going out in April and July. A couple of delegates said to me, when do you think the election will be? After the next GST payout check and before the July one, which is going to have a 50% boost on it. Vote for me and you'll get more money. That tends to work for politicians. So yeah, I do think that Mark Carney is headed in that direction. Spoke with Steve Outhouse. He said that, yeah, look, that's his job. He's got to be ready. He's going to have to find ways to make sure that if in March or early April that the Liberals go to the polls, that he is prepared. There was some talk of floor crossings and whether there's still an early election if there are more floor crossers, or is that too unstable a majority? Do they still go? But I have to tell you, Jeanette, one of the major things that we were talking about in Calgary at the Conservative Convention was the very real possibility of a spring election. Whether I was talking to Michelle Rempel-Garner or Chris Warkentin, 2 Alberta MPs, talking to Steve Outhouse, didn't matter. This was on everyone's minds because they think Carney wants to go before the economy goes south, before the CUSMA negotiations, before the Quebec independence vote. And, I'm assuming that the Alberta separatist movement is going to get enough signatures before that vote happens as well.
Yeah, that's what I heard at the conference floor as well. They feel it. The election is coming because Mark Carney's giving out these peanut checks to Canadians. He's going to need more than 3 floor crossers. He's going to need like 5. Do you actually think there's 5 floor crossers? And then what? For the next year, somebody might resign. Somebody might get a better job. Just look at these 3 MPs that are gone. That could easily happen. He's looking at these polls and he's like, it's time to pull the trigger. I heard on the street that the date is probably April 29th. Snap election is called, and we're going to have an election in June. There's also other ways that we suspect an election is coming. The media spin is on overdrive. Check this out. There must have been bonuses handed out.
Generally speaking, in the history of campaigns, liberals have always campaigned kind of based on hope, whereas people like Pierre Poilievre, and not the Conservative Party, but people like Pierre Poilievre campaign on fear.
What? I don't know about that claim. Like I said, check out how this reporter asked her questions to Brian Lilly.
So, Brian, the Liberals sent some observers to the convention, and they were dismissive of Poilievre's speech. So, their official statement accused the Conservatives of practicing American-style politics and of being far right. And I know that over the course of the 3 days, Conservatives debated on, increasing deportations and policies on pro-life, gender ideology, anti-woke, and self-defense. And a lot of that does sort of mirror Republican far-right values. But Brian, you think that these claims are outlandish. Why?
Well, because if anyone imports American-style politics into Canada, it's the Liberal Party. They literally keep bringing up Americans to talk to them, people from the Democrat Party, to show up and teach them how to campaign, to honor them, whether it's Hillary Clinton or the people that backed Hillary Clinton, or Kamala Harris, who lost against Donald Trump in 2024, was recently here in Toronto and is speaking to her. Guess who flooded the hall that she was speaking at, the theater? It was the who's who of the liberal establishment. The Liberal Party revels in American politics. And right now, what is the Carney government doing? Relying on Donald Trump to try and boost their poll fortunes, relying on Donald Trump to set the ground for perhaps an early election campaign. So, I don't think that saying you're against DEI policies is far right. Not anymore. Maybe that was considered that before, but now it's very mainstream as people say, oh, wait a minute, I thought that was one thing and it turns out to be something else. As for defunding CBC, that's been a mainstream conservative point of view for well over a decade now.
Very true. What's also interesting is these three liberal ridings currently hiring for Elections Canada, all posted on the same day or a day apart. Oh, and let's not forget about our economy. Things are not looking so hot. The longer we wait, the worse it's gonna get. They might want to get ahead of this.
From Rosenberg Research says that the Canadian economy is on life support and that the economy probably shrank in 2 of the past 3 quarters. And we are on a clear recession watch for 2026.
We're on a recession watch, everybody. Things can't get any worse than that. You're going to want to watch this video to the very end because I'm going to explain how Jamil Jivani going down to Washington, D.C. could actually lead to a conservative victory. We'll get into it. But first, I want to talk to you about the conservative convention. There's something that happened at this convention. The absolute best thing that happened at this convention is all because of you. That's right. You actually did something. The little guy, the people, they actually did something. I don't know if you recall, but I got people to send letters to MPs. Just if you could do just one thing, send that letter or phone your MP. Well, when I was at the convention and I was talking to MPs, I asked them, I said, what happened to Bill C9 that was paused? Why did it get paused? You have no idea what they said. They said they received 37,000 phone calls and over 40,000 letters, and they had to pause it because they were overwhelmed. That's right. We actually did it. We actually did something. They paused because you guys actually did something and sent a letter to the MPs. So this year, I'm going to be coming out with my next list, and we're going to get work done this year, stopping all these bills, the ones that are problematic. More to come. Good job, everybody. Before I show you Jamil Jivani, The Liberals promised us 500,000 homes per year. You are not going to believe how many homes they delivered us. Did they get 90% of the target or 75, 50%? Let's check it out.
Financial tools.
Thank you. So how many of these units that you guys have done are move-in ready?
So 9 of the homes in Nunavut are moving ready. We just got the notice very soon. And all these units will have shovels in the ground in 2026.
So they've been in government for nearly a year and they delivered 9 units. We still have 499,991 units remaining. So that means this year they need to deliver 1 million units. Are they going to get there? This is going to be great. How did the Liberals win last election? Because the Conservatives were winning by 25 points. It was going to be a landslide supermajority victory until Donald Trump showed up and said he was going to come over and make us the 51st state. And then all of these boomers got scared and showed up to vote for the Liberals. But now it's been a full year and they have nothing to show for it. In fact, our relationship with the United States is far worse today than it was a year ago. We have all these brand new tariffs and Donald Trump is furious that Mark Carney went to Davos and talked smack to him. So how can the Conservatives turn this thing around? It's called flip the switch. Turn it around on the Liberals, because if Jamil Jivani goes down to the US and forms a relationship with Donald Trump, that opens the door to Pierre Poilievre to go down there as well. Oh, I can't wait for all the Liberals' heads exploding and all of the mainstream media spin job on this whole thing. Because if Pierre Poilievre goes down there and he says to Donald Trump, "Hey, Donald, I will give you your golden dome and I will negotiate a win for you and for Canada. Why don't we make our countries the strongest economic countries on the planet and join forces?" Then Donald Trump turns around and says, "You know what? I kind of like this Pierre Poilievre guy." And instead of Mark Carney being his man, he goes, "You know what, Mark Carney? I gave you a year and you're this globalist banker failure and I like him." Let's see Jamil Jivani's speech.
I'm on my way to Washington, D.C., and I want to explain to you, the Canadian people, exactly why, because you're probably going to hear about it. I'm going to Washington because I want to help Prime Minister Mark Carney be successful in negotiating a trade deal with the United States. Now that might sound counterintuitive because I am a principled conservative, he is our Liberal Prime Minister, but the reality is that this is not a partisan issue. CUSMA and trade with the United States is so important to the Canadian economy and to our future as an independent, self-reliant nation that Conservatives and Liberals don't need to fight over this at all. In fact, we need to work together. The leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, has said as much. He has offered help from Conservatives to the Liberal government on this issue, and I'm acting on that. In my opinion, this is not about posturing or politics. This is about business and workers. This is about unions and entrepreneurs. This is about whether we have a growing economy with stability for investment and opportunity for our young people, or whether our economy is perpetually in a state of uncertainty. I am kind of sick and tired of the politics on this issue. I'm sick and tired of the posturing and the virtue signaling. I'm sick and tired of people being worried about what someone's going to call you on Facebook or on social media comments, what the media might say. The reality is that there are people suffering right now in our country because of the state of our economy. And inasmuch as we want Canada to be as strong and independent as possible, the reality is that 3/4 of our exports go to the United States. And if we want an economy that is good for our young people, if we want an economy that supports public services for seniors in our communities, we've got to work with the Americans. There are people who've been running around this country for over a year now, talking about their elbows, flapping about. I just don't find that impressive. I don't find it serious. I take this issue seriously. And as a guy who went to law school in the United States and has a strong network there, I think I have something to offer to help build bridges of communication between our two countries, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm alarmed when I see things like the talking about China and communist governments and doing more business with them. I get alarmed when I see announcements of electric vehicles now being imported into Canada while we have a crisis in our auto industry. I get alarmed in my home community when I see museums in Oshawa, like the Tank Museum or the Auto Museum, offering free admission to GM employees to do everything they can to just stand in solidarity with people whose lives have been turned upside down because of the economic uncertainty, the tariffs, and the lack of a good trade relationship with our biggest trading partner. So yeah, I say this to you knowing what's about to come my way. I know what all the critics are going to say, and I know what all the frothing, elbow-waving, anti-American activists are about to say about me. But I just don't care. I care more about you. I care more about the Canadian people, the people who want a future in this country and know that we need serious leadership, the people who believe that you elect people to do what's right and to stand up for you and fight for you above any kind of partisanship. I took this job because I thought there was important work that needed to be done in our country. And I thought that on behalf of the great people of Bowmanville, Oshawa North, I would have a chance to do some great work. And that's my motivation. So no matter what you hear, no matter what they say, I just want you to hear directly from me. I think you deserve good leadership in this country. And I think you deserve people who are going to cut through all the noise, cut through all the posturing and the virtue signaling, and just try to deliver something good for you and your kids. And to me, that's what a trade deal with the United States promises. It promises more stability so that we can grow our economy and that our country can be strong and awesome and live up to its enormous potential. And I think that's what we all want. And that's why I'm going to Washington, D.C. Thanks for listening.
Now that is a mic drop moment. Restore the North. Perfect hat for that segment. But first, the Alberta separation people are not happy about Jamil Jivani. They're like, stay out of it, Ottawa. Alberta wants to negotiate with Donald Trump and the U.S. We don't need you elbows up idiots in Ottawa messing things up for us. Or M. Bryant says, good for you, man. To all the haters, F them. Or Michelle L. says, thanks, Jamil. Let's bring some adults to the table and have some hard discussions. I have to agree. Or Barbara Ball, thank you, Jamil Jivani, for addressing the urgent need for stable, reliable access to the largest trading partner, and I have to agree. Or Wasted Canadian says, finally some common sense, and I agree with Wasted Canadian for the Canadian workers. Thank you for being the voice for so many of us that have already lost their jobs or losing sleep, not knowing if we're going to be able to survive the next layoff. This isn't about politics or borders or elbows. It's about the people. Thank you. And I have to say, I just go on and everybody is actually quite thrilled that we have someone actually coming to the table to make it happen. And I'll tell you why. Because this is going to destroy the Liberals. The plan has been disrupted. I think this is a perfect time to watch Mark Carney get destroyed at the Parliamentary Press Gallery dinner.
I'm happy to see you here, Prime Minister. I'm happy to see you, Prime Minister. I'm very happy to see you. But I do find it a tad unnerving. Think about it. You went to see the Oilers. They lost. Yeah. You went to see the Jays. They lost. You did the toss. You
look at his face.
You went to see the rugby game in the UK. They lost. You went to the White House. We lost.
Oh, look at his face. Did you see his face? Holy crap, look at that.
We lost.
He's about to lose everything with Jamil Jivani going down to the U.S. This face. I can't wait, guys. Look, he's smiling, and then boom. Oh, yeah. That's it for today's report. I'm so excited to be back in the filming studio. I'm going to give you guys all sorts of reports. Things are starting to heat up on the conservatives heading down to Washington, D.C. I'll see you on the next report.